Tēnā tātou katoa. Ko ai au, he uri tēnei no Waikato Tainui, Ngāti Tahinga, ko Ayla Hoita Toku Ingoa. So, kia ora everyone, my name is Ayla. I'm from Waikato Tainui, that's my hapu and my iwi. And I'm a lecturer in the design program at the University of Auckland. And my main kaupapa, or my main papers that I teach is Identity, Indigeneity and Place. And then I also help co-teach on other papers such as Design and Creative Communities and Design Methods. What my kaupapa is really about is bringing mātauranga Māori into our design practice and weaving in some of our tupuna knowledge into how we navigate design as practitioners and people connected to Tāmaki Makaurau and living in this place. And so that's important for me to not only bring it into the papers that I'm helping to teach, but also across the design school. So, kia ora.
About 5 years ago, I returned from my post in Germany to start my own design practice in New Zealand, which is still going today, called Mass Design. And when I heard about this school starting, a design school with a new vision, really looking at the future of our society and thinking about the question of what kind of designers do we need, I was very interested and started talking about, being a part of this conversation. And when the school started, I had the opportunity to join.
Since I started with industrial design, because I loved art and I loved graphic and visual expression, and then it was super technical, industrial design in Argentina, and I learned how to make all these amazing things. But then after working for a while, I wanted more, and I was very privileged to get a grant to study at Politecnico di Milano, which is a very good design school in Italy. And there I studied something really new that was called product service system design. So it told us that design goes beyond products and it goes over to services and experiences, and you connect all that through systems thinking. And it happens that that kind of mātauranga of knowledge is very useful for trying to tackle global problems. So very complex problems like the environmental ones. So I ended up shifting from product making into trying to use design methods for environmental problems. And because I had to learn more, I ended up doing a PhD on environmental engineering. So I feel like I have both sides of the story. So I have the most expressive, emotional, empathic side that design brings, and then I have the technical side that engineering brings. Right now, what I do at the University of Auckland is I do mostly design for sustainability. That has a very strong socio-cultural part that it's called social innovation. So I teach a paper called Creative Communities, and that's one of the core papers of year 2 that teaches designers to be facilitators of change. So you'll learn how to run a workshop and how to empower groups of people, to empower the community to find solutions to their own problems through a creative process. Then I teach another paper called Design and the Natural Environment. And in that paper, we go a bit beyond sustainability and we go into environmental conservation, that it's a big field in New Zealand. So environmental conservation is a field that is quite conservative, and right now we're in the right time to look for innovation on that area. So design methods can help conservation, and also because I love animals and I'm a diver, so I love diving. So right now our students are going to be doing marine restoration and regenerative tourism this year. So that's an exciting topic to explore. And then I teach design impacts on the master's level, and that's a more technical paper where we get to explore the ways we plan for impact and how we measure and track impact. So like carbon related things and also cultural impacts. So that's mostly my design journey, and we really hope to see you here.
Kia ora, I'm Diana Albarran Gonzalez. I am a lecturer and Deputy Director of Design here at the University of Auckland. And we have two students with us today, Rika and Jed.
I'm Rika Lee. I went to Northcote College and I did art design, project design, calculus, statistics, and English.
Hi, I'm Jedediah Allen Solomon. I went to Maclean's College, and the core subjects I took were design and visual communications and design and digital technologies, amongst math, English, and physics. The reason I chose to go to university here was because of the broad conjoint programs they offered. I particularly had a passion for design, of course, and computer science, and this conjoint allowed me to get the best of both worlds. I think like most people, I used to think design was nothing more than a coat of paint you put on at the end of a project, something that makes a product look visually appealing for customers. And it wasn't until I started coming to uni and started learning more about the design process and the tools and techniques behind it that I understood design as more of a problem-solving method and more as a way of thinking rather than something to just make it look visually appealing.
What was your first week like? If you think back on your first approach into university, what are the things that really stood and mark your experience here that you can remember?
I think the culture, uni culture is something that shouldn't surprise you, but I don't really think about it that much. My first week at uni in design, there were a lot of icebreakers, and usually icebreakers, they're supposed to break the ice, but usually they don't really go anywhere. But the people at design they're great. And there are some people that I met through the icebreakers that they've just ended up being the best friends to date. And even people that aren't my really close friends, I've just had great chats with them, group project experiences, or just experiences outside of uni. I got an internship through one of the people that I didn't actually talk to her in the first week, but through the design degree and getting to know the people and getting to know them a bit more, you get opportunities. Like, for example, she was like, I have a friend who wants an intern. You do computer science and design, and I was like, oh, yo, and then I interviewed and he liked me, and so I became an intern there. And then a girl that I met in first year, she was an exchange student, went back to Taiwan in the second year, I think because of COVID, but we call every single week on a Sunday, and she's one of my best friends. And I don't think I could have gotten that in any other degree. I think that just the people in design are just different.
For me, the main learning I've had so far in the design program is I don't need to box myself in as a designer. It's more than just focusing on UX design. It's more than just focusing on graphics design. Instead, even though I am an individual, I can work on a multitude of projects. And that learning has been enforced by the numerous papers we are offered here to take, whether it's business design, digital design, working in virtual reality, topics I never thought I would have even thought of working within before is now things that not only am I interested in, but things I actually have the opportunity to work in. Like if we talk about activities, as you asked, that what activities have I done that really enforced this, is being able to go out there in the real world and work on a multitude of projects. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to work in everything from web design, as we discussed earlier, but till 3D modeling, working in VR, working in game design, and even to working on a robotic arm, which is something I never considered in my past. And the design program's broad optional papers has allowed me to see that my future as a designer doesn't need to be boxed to one name. And I guess going forward when I graduate, I'm still not sure what I want to do, but I know that there's a multitude of options out there.
Being in control of a project and being able to direct where it leads and where the people lead it, I found that that's important to me. And at the moment I am working in a bit of a professional context. I work for a startup named Say My Name, and we make sure that international remote work is a little bit easier by promoting name pronunciations, correct name pronunciations. And I brought my social work into that, but also I realized some of the things that we use in the design degree and the planning, like Miro, Notion, design frameworks, they use that in there too. And just joining this startup has made me realize how important the design frameworks that design teaches us are.
One of the things that I love personally about design is that it could be very transdisciplinary. So that means that you work with people with very diverse backgrounds and expertise. We have so many conjoints. So we have like design and law, design and computer science like yourselves, design and engineering. So there's so many possibilities. And we have 11 different conjoints. So thinking about this, like how has this influenced your experience in the design program as being as conjoined students? What are the benefits or the things that you really feel that have benefit you from doing a conjoined degree?
So design at its core is not something that can be done in isolation. It's not something like science where you can just continue to pursue science. Rather, it is a field where you have to work with others, and it thrives when you work with others. It's not a matter of you can't be without others, like a single person can still complete a full design project, but they still utilize skills from other fields, like such as for us with computer science. You need to be able to not only make something look nice, but also make it a reality, which is something I really enjoy. Not being able to just, make a prototype that is a sketch that looks great, but that point when I bring in my computer science skills from my conjoint, and there's so many different conjoints here, and a lot of them were things I never considered before, like design and law was not really something I even thought of being valid. But once we started going into group projects, I was able to work with people that took these conjoints, and I was able to see how valuable it really was. And because we work in such an environment, it's like, even though I don't particularly want to focus on that skill, I'm able to rely on those that have trained in that skill and see how I should best interact with them going forward, especially in my work career, because everyone has like their own unique language, especially doing computer science. We're always talking about bits and bytes and whatever nonsense there is, whatever terminology, buzzwords there are. And every conjoint has a bit of that. And this environment where we found ourselves in is an environment that helps us to best prepare ourselves for the real world.